Well, hey, welcome back to Talking Point, and it is an honor and a privilege to have my friend Jim Oliva join us today. Not so much of an honor and privilege to also have the Oz joining us today as it's trivia season. So I thought it'd be a good time to invite Jim into the office to talk Point.
Hey, Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for coming.
I left Jim out in the hall.
You did?
Yes,
Oh,
I did.
All right, sorry. I like Jim. Jim's a good guy.
It's okay.
You, on the other hand, we've got some issues.
I hear you.
So trivia is, less than 2 weeks away here. The whole town's getting excited. You can feel there really is a tension in the air.
There is.
So what I wanted to do is try to give people who may not be as familiar with it, or maybe someone who's been familiar with it, the opportunity to glean a little bit more information. Tell me about trivia. How did it get started?
Well, trivia started, the whole concept came about in 1969 when the station first signed on the air. We were 10 watts, which got you across the street.
Okay.
And the station manager, the program director, Nick Ryan, and Tim Donovan wanted some way of getting more listeners. So this contest was an idea. And then in March of 70, that first school year, it came to fruition, and they had a 16-hour contest, and it was modeled after the Lawrence University contest.
Okay. Yeah, Lawrence I know has been around longer, but
Right.
we are definitely larger.
Definitely. And Lawrence isn't even on the air anymore. They're strictly a streaming station.
So 47 years we've been going with this. It started out with 10 watts. What does WWSP currently put out?
30,000 watts.
30,000 watts.
30,000
That's
stereo. Yeah, it's big.
and you broadcast in color, from what I understand.
And only on Saturday mornings.
Only on Saturday mornings.
Morning freak show.
So 1969. Now I've been playing. This is going to be my 39th year of playing. I know you haven't been writing quite as long. How did you get involved with the contest?
I started working at the radio station in 1976 because I really love radio. Radio is just an unbelievable thing. And so I was working at the station. I was the oldest person there. And in the 77 contest, the 78 contest, I worked at the station. And I played a little bit on a team. And then I also did some chaperoning for a team who was playing out of the library at Spash. And after the 1978 contest, the person who was writing the contest at that time, the Oz, decided that he was graduating, he was moving down to New Orleans to go to school to become a nurse.
Okay.
And the station manager came up to me and said, "You're the oldest person here, you want to write the contest?" And I said, "Well, I'll give it a try."
Oh.
And that's it. And I've just
And the rest is history.
Yeah, I've been asked back ever since.
That brings up some pretty good points, because I talked to people about some of the history of the contest. I mean, we are literally nationwide, now streaming. We're worldwide, and for those who may be playing in the space station, now that would be a cool one.
That would be cool.
Get someone to call in on the space station. I want to talk about one thing in particular, because I played back in the old days where the first time I played the contest by myself, I had an orange rotary wall phone in the kitchen of our house, listening to the contest on a console stereo in the living room. So I'm very familiar with the
Yeah, yes.
and the days of waiting for a dial tone and things like that. We were a beta site for some telephone technology. With AT&T,
they were wanting to make sure that they could suppress the contest as best they could.
Is that
Seriously, I mean, there were some things that we were sworn to secrecy about that we couldn't let people know about because it was rather frightening at the time. Yeah. And what did happen is we were scheduled to go to electronic switching 10 years later than they actually put it in.
Okay.
Because they couldn't deal with us anymore.
Yeah.
So they decided to ramp it up, move us out of sequence.
So because of the call volumes, we're actually on the cutting edge of technology.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. When we ask a question, they came up with this, and I don't know how they keep track of this, but they have the statistics. Every time there's a question asked on the air, it immediately generates something like 4,000 phone calls.
Yeah.
Immediately.
That's insane. And I know in recent history with the implementation of the internet, Stevens Point, Wisconsin on Trivia Weekend actually changes national and international statistics for Google search trends.
They know all about us up at Google because
Yeah, it's insane.
Each year it keeps increasing the number of Googles that are coming through Stevens Point. And basically it's Appleton because the first switch is at Appleton.
Wow, that's crazy. So, you've been writing for coming up on 40 years now.
This is my 38th year.
Yeah, 38?
Yeah.
So, I can't even imagine how many hundreds of questions you've come up with. How do you write questions? How do you formulate questions? And how do you keep the questions answerable, I guess?
Well, one thing that that is a rule that John and I use, John Eckendorf and I, who write currently together, you can never put too many words in a question. That's rule number one. And number two is if you can get away without using proper nouns, that's always really good too. Just if you look around and you look at television, movies, read books, whatever, you can find that there's some ridiculous stuff out there. I mean, it just is. We were reading through. We've read through the questions twice now, and we just laugh and wonder why don't people even people that aren't going to play this contest, why they wouldn't listen to it just to laugh at the questions. And but the idea is always be on the lookout for something that's going to be fun or different or quirky or something like that. That's pretty much what we do. Try and stay away from the blasé, although when you're writing that many questions, there are times when it happens. I mean, you just have to ask a dumb question like, name the performing Marx Brothers.
and there's a lot of history and tradition, I suppose, with the contest. One of the cool things that I've always seen about the contest, and I tell people this from all over the world when I talk to them about it, is the camaraderie. We have close to 12,000 players, give or take, each year. And those players come from every single walk of life.
Absolutely.
We had a priest at the Vatican who had a team. We have military troops in Afghanistan that play. We have people that come in from all over the country year after year, doctors, lawyers, truck drivers, mayors, students, and it doesn't matter what your beliefs are politically, it doesn't socially, it doesn't really matter because Trivia Weekend, we all have this common bond, so everybody gets along, and that was one of the coolest things that I've experienced over my years of playing trivia. As part of that, what I think is interesting, when I talk to the DJs on Thursday night, we'll all have a meeting, and I tell them, when you get on the air, nobody wants you to know your name. They don't want to know the time, the date, the temperature. They don't want to know anything. The only thing that counts is questions and answers. That is all that they care about. Nothing else matters. Day, night, nothing. Yeah. And they're just like, they don't want to know how long you're going to be on the air. They don't even want to know your name. They just want questions and answers. And we want them worded and pronounced correctly.
Oh no. Pronunciation is completely up to the individual.
Yes, I remember the Alice of the Operative. There's all kinds of things.
Yeah.
That makes trivia fun. Those are the memories that get made.
Yeah.
And talking about the far-reaching effect of the world's largest trivia contest, we're in Chase's annual events. I remember that. When that happened, that was a big deal.
Sure, yeah.
We've been a question on Jeopardy, an actual question on Jeopardy.
Yep.
Ken Jennings, who was the all-time trivia champion, actually showed up. He played with several teams, did some appearances, wrote an entire chapter in his book, Brainiac, about point trivia.
The largest chapter in the book.
The largest chapter in the book. We've had a movie made about trivia, Trivia Town, which is still available, and it's going to be available for sale this weekend as well, I understand. For Trivia Weekend. Trivia Weekend.
Trivia Week and Weekend.
That's an award-winning documentary.
Yes, it is.
My wife, myself, daughter Madison, and Gavin flew out to New York for the premiere. It's been shown here. I know we were mentioned on Jay Leno. I think his comment was, the world's largest trivia contest is being held in Stevens Point, Wisconsin this weekend, and if you know where Stevens Point is, you win the contest, or something along those lines.
Right.
What am I missing here, Jim? There's tons of stuff.
Well, I mean, we've had I've gotten articles when my son was living in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Sent me a paper.
Yeah.
It was down there. It's been in Charleston, South
I
Carolina.
remember USA Today did a story.
USA Today, the St. Paul paper did a huge story. I mean, that was insane. They sent reporters here for the weekend. They were supposed to come for one day, and they stayed the whole weekend. They didn't want to go back. The Chicago Tribune did a really big story that my mom was so proud of.
That's good. So putting together something of this size is more, I mean, most of us players are just looking forward to the movie and the merchandise and the parade and the contest, but there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes. Talk to me a little bit about that so we can let people know that it's more than just what happens for 54 hours. There's a lot of work behind the scenes. Sales, food, phone answerers, setting up DJs, picking the music.
Right. Well, it all starts about like Trivia 48 started working on that 2 weeks ago.
Really? So
Yeah.
even before the contest,
So it
you're working
starts,
on
I
next
mean,
year.
taking notes and just getting ideas that I may want to try differently next year, or little things behind the scenes. Just something I might as well throw out there that everybody will really enjoy. We're trying a new scorekeeping system this year.
Are you?
Oh.
That doesn't sound problematic at all.
No, not at all. So we're going to have fun with that. But you know, there's 18 phone lines that have to be answered all weekend long. And as I tell the kids early on in January, when we first start meeting with the exec staff about this, is that John and I could write the best questions in the world, and we could have the best announcers in the world. But if people call up and nobody answers the phone, we have a lousy contest.
Right.
And so we need the phone answerers, which means we need the phone lines ordered. And there's a whole series of jobs. And there's 11 students on the executive staff, and each of them gets jobs, many which are part of their job description, and then others which they volunteer for. And so with that, they have basically from the third week in January until the contest to get their jobs done. And the phones, there's computers that have to go in, and then the computer network that gets set up, it'll be set up this Sunday morning. We have pre-orders that people can make right now online, and those pre-orders are all packaged up come Sunday. The merchandise has been ordered, and we have some candy for the parade. There's a student group that's working on the float. One of the kids asked me this last Friday, is it okay if I bring in a car for the parade? I said, well, what is it? And he said, it's a Porsche. I said, yeah, you bring that. So, you know, so just things like that, little things and little questions that people have, which are, I'm afraid that sometimes people are afraid to ask me.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, there's no such thing as a dumb question. Yep. Every question is important because it may open a whole new area. Just you asking the question may give me an idea.
I know that's my philosophy as well. I want to hear what people's thoughts are, and
Sure.
I think it's a phenomenal contest, as you know.
Yeah, just like simple things like saving grocery bags throughout the year. I only use bags, paper bags, because then for trivia, when people buy merchandise, we can fill them into paper bags.
Sure.
And again, the computers, the phones, the jocks throughout the year, new jocks when they start in September, the big thing is to work with them to keep making them get better so that they can handle the stress of a trivia shift. The music that's picked, it used to be pretty much wild and woolly, and I remember the year that Winchester Cathedral was played 6 times, and it's a terrible song to begin with. It played so many times, and we just decided, you know, I just decided that I really had to start working at getting more music, and at that time CDs came out, and I was in compilations, so I started buying compilations, and now Trivia weekend, when I go in with 240 discs, of music, plus there's discs at the station that we use. It's expanded the music as well, and I've expanded it, went into the 40s because there was some good music back in the 40s. Why not? Why not use it? The T-shirt order, that's always a struggle for me because I have to guess how much we're going to sell.
Sure. Well, and the goal is to sell out.
And the goal is to sell out, and a lot of times we do. And I mean, there are certain things that sell out and certain things that don't. But you can't not have the things that you don't sell out of. If you end up with 8 shirts left or 8 sweatshirts left, you did okay.
Did pretty good, right?
You know.
Well, you know, and that's what people, I think, lose sight of is that first and foremost, this is a fundraiser for 90 FM.
It is a fundraiser for 90 FM.
You know, and also a learning experience for all of the staff that's involved, the students who work at 90 FM. But boy, for the rest of us, you know, it's a lifestyle, really.
The goal of what you hear on the radio is chaos. That's what we want. That's what we're shooting for, is chaos.
So, you know, I know that Oz never does anything without a reason. I know that when you pick the music, you pick it because it's sometimes related to the song or maybe the answer.
Right.
Or maybe it's just to get you off your butt at 2 o'clock in the morning so you stay awake for the next 4 hours.
Right.
So in tying into that deliberateness, I see you brought some items here.
Well, addressing the music.
Okay.
The weekend after trivia, the Saturday morning after trivia from 8 till noon on my show, I will be playing all of the pre-selected songs and giving the reason why we chose them.
Okay.
So that'll be on the air.
90 FM, Saturday
90
morning,
FM,
the weekend
Saturday.
after trivia.
Correct. All right, what did I bring today? Well, you know, you can't be the Oz without having the Oz picture around. You know, you have to have the Wizard of Oz, the greatest of all Oz things ever. And so I always bring this. These are all little things that come with me to the station. I have a box of things, and I went and picked these out because
I know you
they were
definitely
important.
personalize your office.
This right here is something that some idiot player, I can't remember who,
No idea.
wanted to make an offer that I couldn't refuse, so gave me a horse head. And this has been my friend for the longest time, because I love pink flamingos. I think I've made, in Stevens Point, I've made pink flamingos very famous with the stone clues.
Probably, yeah.
Between the pink flamingos and the BVMs, I created a whole thing. And then this year's theme, the It's Not Your Father's Contest, and you see that it's, you know, a car. It's a classic car on here, a '57 Chevy with those great fins, and with the whole thing of being car-oriented and the '50s and '60s punk car people, the grease balls and everything. You notice I've got my cigarette pack rolled up my sleeve. I want to give you a pack of candy cigarettes for trivia weekend. You can roll them up in your trivia white T-shirt, or you can
once
put.
I get my trivia shirt on, I don't think it's going to work real well here. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, I thought you'd enjoy that. Yeah. So these, and there's other things that I bring along. When I had my hip replaced in 1994, I had to use one of those extension squeezer grabbers, and I always bring that with me because, you know, it's tough work sitting there for that period of time without being able to grab things and stuff like that.
All right, so let's talk about the logistics for this year's contest. It is April 15th, 16th, 17th?
15th, 16th, 17th. It starts at 6 o'clock Friday night, and it continues through midnight Sunday. There are 432 questions that are asked throughout the contest. People get the length of 2 songs, or not.
Or not.
It depends on what I choose. And there are 2 running questions, run at 7 o'clock in the morning, Saturday and Sunday.
And where do they meet for those?
Well, when they get the rule book, they'll find out.
Okay.
And but I can tell you, it really doesn't matter. The 7 o'clock Saturday morning will be downtown in the lot outside the Shopko store.
Okay.
And the Sunday morning clue will be in front of the Cops Plover store.
Okay, good.
Then there's the Stone Clues, which I have no idea where they start because I forgot where I put them.
And that's okay.
And,
as long as we don't get snow like we did a couple of days ago and
well,
hide all the clues.
There's a story about that one,
I know.
which I will tell you about right after this. And there is 3 music snippets as well, which we have during the contest. The Trivia Stone. One year we had a snowstorm. We had to cancel the thing because of it. And I took a lot of heat on that. And 2 years ago, John and I were out writing the stone clues, and it was an awful, awful, miserable day. It was one of the worst days I've ever seen. The wind was strong out of the east. It was rain, snow, sleet, just
dark and stormy
awful. Yeah. And we're driving in the car, and when we're going down the street, I look to my side, he looks to his side. I'm driving. And so that's the way we do it. In this particular storm, I couldn't see out my window, so I had to roll the window down. But when you roll the window down, you couldn't see because you're just getting your face pelted. So I said, John, you look out my side, I'll look out your side. But I had to roll my window down, and he had to roll his window down. So we're riding along with our windows down, just getting blasted in the back of the head, the side, and so we're going along, and that was when we were going south. When we were going north, we had to do the same thing. And there was a lot of north-south at that particular time. We were down in Plover. And after about, 6, 7 minutes of this, I said to John, I said, I don't care if there's 6 feet of snow this year, they're running these clues. After this, they're running these clues. That's it.
Nice. Well, good. So before we wrap up here, Hits Week.
Oh, Hits Week is next week from 6 a.m. until the start of the public affairs programming on 90 FM. It'll be all hits, and that's college hits, college radio hits over the past 15 years, 20 years, around in there. And that goes on all day. Registration, Trivia Week starts this coming week.
Yeah.
Friday it all starts for
that's right.
For
Trivia
us.
Kickoff Movie.
Trivia Kickoff Movie is Friday night at midnight.
On the 8th.
On the 8th, and then Saturday the 9th at midnight, as well as 10 in the morning. And the people want to know, what's the movie going to be? Well, it's $3 admission at the door, which is not, it costs that much to rent a movie, I think, some places, okay? But this movie has everything. You'll want to see it. It's so good. Then on Monday, registration starts from 3 until 7 at the station, and that continues through Thursday, 3 to 7 each day. And then Friday, the day of the contest, from noon until 6. The parade is at 4 o'clock. And if you want to learn all about everything you could possibly want to know about trivia that can be told without me getting tired, go to the website, 90fmtrivia.org, and there's all kinds of links, and there's a newsletter in there, and it gives you access to all the merchandise and the pricing of all the merchandise, the t-shirts, sweatshirts, the fanny packs, which are going to cost me my life.
I love it. Yeah, my wife's not happy.
Your wife is not happy.
Bringing back the fanny pack.
And then the contest starts at 6 o'clock on Friday the 15th. That's the week, and it really is pretty exciting. To give you an idea about, like you said, where the age or the makeup of the players in the contest, there's no age group, age limit, nothing on this. One of our most avid fans, my most avid fan, is Don Zivney.
Okay.
And Don comes every year. He's got cerebral palsy. He's a great guy. And he comes in the back door, and he just, in his wheelchair, and he bumps through everybody, and he wants to get his shirt, and everything stops. And I go get him his shirt, and he's happy, and I'm happy too. And then, I don't know if you noticed, but at the steps going up into the station, not this year, but a year and a half ago or so, they put in a handrail, because some of the older players have trouble getting up those stairs nowadays.
We're all getting to be older players.
And so it was really, I don't know who came up with the idea of doing that, but it was somebody in maintenance or in administration. It wasn't any of the kids, or it wasn't me, because I don't have any trouble getting up the stairs.
So
yet.
I'm really looking forward to it. You know, every year I get pumped, and unfortunately, as I get older, I get busier, so I don't have as much time to do the things that I want to do or that I used to be able to do in preparation for trivia. But it's always an exciting time. You know, it starts with the movie, and then Monday we get the pictures and listen to
And
Hits
then your week goes
and then the
right
week just
down the
flies
toilet
by,
after
right?
that, right?
And you know, I've got a lot of things that need to get done around here now. Those sorts of things. So, as an exclusive for our viewers and listeners,
Yes.
is there any insight you might be able to give us in regards to this year's contest? Maybe a hint at an answer, or
Well, I can, you
something
know,
to brush up on?
okay, this is good because I've been thinking about what I was going to say at the movie.
Okay.
And I can say it now. You better know your cars.
You better know your cars.
You
Okay.
better know your
So
cars.
are you talking Rick Ocasek?
Maybe. Maybe. You better know your cars.
Okay.
We'll leave it
see,
at
that
that.
opens up a lot of things, you know. And I know that your hints traditionally are so broad that nobody's ever going to glean anything from them, because we can talk about the group, the cars. We
Right.
can talk about the movie cars.
Right.
We can talk about models and makes and all those sorts
Right.
of things that go in there.
Right.
So
But, and you know, I mean, they're all out there. In
better know
fact,
your
did you know
cars.
that there's a movie called The Car?
oh no,
Yes.
really?
Yeah, just
I don't
saying.
know. My mother, the car.
My mother, the car. Yes, right.
All right. Well, again, thank you very much, Jim, for coming.
And I
joining
just
us
want
here.
to, invite everybody that's out there. You know, you don't have to play for 54 hours.
Right.
Just play. Register a team, because every $30 that comes into that station is an asset. The reason we're on the air, one of the huge reasons that we're on the air, is because of trivia. The money that's been saved over the years from trivia helped pay a large part for our new transmitter, and that is the primary reason that Lawrence went off the air.
Yeah.
Lawrence went off the air because they could not afford a new transmitter when they needed it. We needed a new transmitter. We were able to purchase it. There are other things, like right now we're looking at new boards. And when we buy boards, we can't just buy one. We have to buy one for the main studio, one for the production room. And each year now, when we started off Friends of 90 FM, we said, well, we're going to put one $500 scholarship a year. Then we doubled that up, and we went to 2 a year. And now we're up to $2,000, and it's going to go up to $2,500 in the fall.
Okay. Wow, that's awesome.
And 2 of them, one each semester.
It's phenomenal, and you know, I think at least a lot of people who've been playing a long time know how much of an asset 90 FM is, and the community support for not only trivia but the radio station in general, and all the good that's done through the work that you're really responsible for. I know it's a team effort, but without your leadership on that, Jim, I don't think the contest would be what it is today. And on behalf of all of the community,
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
It's like I tell the kids, and I feel like a teacher in this situation. I tell them at their first meeting, I say, always remember, there's no team in I.
That's right.
There's no team in I, and if your team screws up, it's your fault.
Well, now wait a minute. We can.
Oh,
get the
no,
complaint
no,
line
that's
number.
it.
If the team screws up, it's
Yes,
my
sir.
fault, our fault.
Well, you know, and you can come to the complaint line, and
And I look
you know,
forward to the complaint line every year.
Did you
Jim.
get the points?
Knock knock?
Knock,
You know,
knock.
there's a movie called Knock Knock.
It's a really
Yeah. So anyway, thank you again for joining us.
Thanks for
We're
having me,
about
Henry.
out of time.
Okay.
I want to thank everybody for watching and listening. This has been Talking Point, and we've been talking trivia. I appreciate it. So we'll see you next time. And until then, let's play trivia fast, Eddie.